The stream is live.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Team Futurism. My name is Peter Clark, and I'm here today with Devin Carson.
Hello.
And we have a string of light holiday topics for us today.
What colors are your ornaments this year?
How was your Thanksgiving, by the way? We haven't small talked for a while. Maybe we can do that for a minute.
Oh, we haven't small talked for a while. I had the most delightful Thanksgiving a white gentleman with zero family can possibly have. I got to be wrapped in the warm embrace of the sweetest Latino family, my partner's big family. And for a guy that was an only child of a single mother, to be in the midst of like 10 people in a 2-bedroom apartment is like, it is actually euphoric for me. I'm so, I don't care what I'm eating or who's talking to me or what's going on. Just to be around that many people in the holiday spirit, it just fills me with an unreasonable amount of joy. So I had a wonderful, and it was a classic Thanksgiving meal, delicious turkey, honey baked ham, which, is like American caviar.
That's such a good way to put it.
It was wonderful. How was your Thanksgiving? Did you go somewhere? Did you spend it at home with the?
Yeah, we just cooked it at home, and
Cute.
in my life, I've kind of like come and gone throughout like the big family thing. Sometimes, like when I was young, it would be like mega huge families. Like I have 30 gazillion cousins, half their names I don't know. There's like that, and then like I've had that Thanksgiving also where like you move away, and I remember this so distinctly. A couple of these Thanksgivings where it's kind of like it's cold out and I'm riding my bike around town with like no friends in town, and my family's like states away, and I'm like literally like looking for a fucking fast food restaurant
Sacramento.
that's open for, like,
Sacramento Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I've had a couple of those, and now I'm like in the happy medium. We're like small family, a couple of relatives. It's kind of nice, but we might try to do like the big family thing again next year. We'll kind of see, but yeah, I mean, I love Thanksgiving. I've come around to it as a holiday. I used to hate it, but I've come around to it. So
it's kind of unassailable as a holiday because it isn't really particularly capitalist, and it doesn't have that kind of like unsavoriness that Christmas can carry with
Christmas
it.
Is so gross. I would delete Christmas from the map. It would be done. Santa's stupid. I like the Grinch. The Grinch is cool, but most of the stories are just like fucking stupid.
Right.
And the presents are just like gross, and like opening presents around other people is fucking gross. I don't know. Everything about it. I like nothing about it. I'm over the tree thing. I'm over the lights thing.
I love that take, Peter. That is a delightful take for me. Yeah, I'm not quite as hateful to Christmas, but I don't prefer it. I definitely love Thanksgiving and like kind of like non-super commercialized holidays. Although, look, it's really funny because it's almost like somebody kind of identified the hole in the market and they were like, well, if we can't capitalize on Thanksgiving, Black Friday.
That's true. That's true. Although even Black Friday, like it doesn't piss me off. It's just kind of like, let's go out and buy shit together as a community. It's also kind of fun. I don't know.
Who doesn't like deals?
Yeah, deals, man. Okay, enough small talk, Devin.
Thank you, Peter.
I wanna jump into the new announcement by the White House. Let me actually go ahead and pull this up so we have something to look at.
This is so troubling to me. You sent me this morning, and this was something that I was unaware of as of last night. And this is one of the most. Do
you mind if before we get into our takes of it, I was going to play a little bit of a clip just for anyone who's watching who hasn't heard of this before.
I love that.
Contemplating how to key this up. We could read through it, but I want to play like a 2-minute clip of someone just like going through what it is. Then we don't have to describe it. We can just do commentary. So
I'm super
let me actually pull that. And sorry to interrupt you there.
No, please.
But let's let this play, guys, for like 2-3 minutes. This channel is called the AI Daily Brief. I know nothing about this channel, but like I watched this before we prepped, and it gave the highlights. And this is all we want to do before we jump into the commentary. So let me play this, and then we'll come back.
Look at these clowns.
But as it turns out, that was not the only executive order they have planned. President Trump has now officially signed an executive order to launch a national AI science program known as the Genesis Mission. The text of the order argues that the race for global technology dominance in the development of AI requires a historic national effort comparable in urgency and ambition to the Manhattan Project. This order launches the Genesis mission as a dedicated, coordinated national effort to unleash a new age of AI-accelerated innovation and discovery that can solve the most
No.
problems of the century. Michael Kratsios, the director of the White House Office of Science and Technology Policy, continued that tone during the Monday announcement. He described the Genesis mission as the largest marshaling of federal scientific resources since the Apollo program. Now, stripping away the superlatives, the Genesis mission is at core an initiative to collate scientific knowledge from across the government to enable new AI-driven discoveries. Data sets will be gathered from the National Science Foundation, the National Institute of Standards and Technology, and the National Institute of Health. The data sets, some of which stretch all the way back to the 1940s, will be cleaned and transformed into machine-readable formats to make them accessible to AI models. The order lays out a twofold goal: to train scientific foundation models and create AI agents to test new hypotheses, automate research workflows, and accelerate scientific breakthroughs. To that end, the Department of Energy and their network of 17 national labs will make their data and compute resources available to research institutions and private sector companies. The order instructs the DOE to, quote, create a closed-loop AI experimentation platform that integrates our nation's world-class supercomputers and unique data assets to generate scientific foundation models and power robotic laboratories. Essentially, this is a major effort to organize the scientific data that's scattered across government agencies and marshal resources in order to drive AI-accelerated scientific discovery.
Okay, I'm just going to stop it there. So,
do you get angry? Do you get angry about stuff like this, or do you just have opinions?
let me give you my initial reaction.
Yeah, I'd love that.
And then I'm curious about your gut reaction here. It's fascinating to me. So my gut reaction, my first thought was like, oh, this is what I've been asking for years, for like decades. This is the thing I've wanted the government to do, and it's insane they haven't done this earlier. What the fuck was Joe Biden sleeping on? Right?
Unreal.
I'm actually still sitting with that take. Like, I think this is great. I think that, like, if there's anything that slows down progress, it's institutions being siloed and not being able to talk to one another. And the US government is sitting on a treasure trove of scientific data, like no other institution on the planet. They have the data that could like lead to real breakthroughs and this is my rant here, guys. Like, I don't even care how many bad things happen from AI, minus like, the end of the world, but like it will lead to bad shit and I'm here for it. Just like let AI solve cancer for us. Let it solve climate change. We have real pressing big existential issues and only technology is going to save it. So let's solve those problems. If I can like meet you guys, I'm so curious to hear your rant against this, but like if I can meet you there, like, see where you're at a little bit. Like, I don't trust the Trump administration, and the New York Times just had a big profile of David Sachs and how he is just like milking the government. For like him and his buddies are just like profiting nonstop, and I don't like that. I think that's gross. And I think that Trump enables like this grifting economy.
Absolutely.
And I don't trust his administration to be doing this, which makes me all the more like, why the fuck wasn't Joe Biden doing this? But okay, let me pass it to you. Let me get your thoughts.
I actually share your sentiment around centralizing and legislating on AI. I think that there is no reality over the next 2 years where we can't where if we don't put an unbelievable amount of pressure on politicians to legislate the way that AI is grown and what it grows into for us, I think we can really easily slip down a really dark path. And I am actually always a techno optimist, so I do think that we do end up innovating our way into the future and surviving mostly. And probably relatively unscathed physically eventually. But I think some of these dark valleys that we're coming upon are worth mitigating the risk for. And one of those is, I think one of the hardest things for me coming from like an anthropological and a humanistic side is that I don't see anything about jobs in here. And
well, this is about scientific research.
And that's what I'm saying.
So like the Manhattan Project wasn't about jobs either, right? It was about like the atomic bomb, and that's what we're analogizing here.
But the development of nuclear technology didn't take jobs from a statistically significant percentage of the population. It didn't have any effect on it. It maybe increased defense contract hiring and defense contract spending.
But jobs are going away, right?
But that's what I'm saying is that we have
they're going away because of the private sector, and like if the government participates in that? Like,
yeah, but there has to be an
washing, right?
but there has to be an overarching plan that accommodates for the space between us and Elon's um, childlike, ridiculous abundance agenda, where I'm like, yes,
You mean
obviously.
Doge or
No, I mean the stated goal on Tesla's website now is to accelerate us at breakneck speed toward basically toward is to speed as a breakneck speed towards having AGI that creates infinite abundance, right? And it's like, yeah, but what happens in that interstitial period where hundreds of thousands of people lose their jobs because, and then we don't have a national plan for
but
that?
Devin, this is like, I actually don't understand this, because like
Yeah.
throughout human history, technological advances happen and it's chaos. But then we come out on the other side, and like this can't be. This is not Trump or Elon or this is humanity. This is what we do. This is
Yeah, but you're talking about
sector
sector-based. You're talking about sector-based innovations, right? You're talking about narrow band sector-based innovations. We're innovating intelligence. Intelligence is like the qualitative foundational. That's the foundation of all non-labor jobs, right? And so like if we're innovating in a specific area, and like, the example that gets thrown around a lot, which I think is ridiculous, is like, well, when we went from horses to cars, a lot of horse trainers and a lot of horses and like all this infrastructure around horses went away. But that's a narrow band industry that was experiencing extreme growth. We're looking at growing the power of intelligence to subsume all jobs that are intellectual, right? And that's not like that's not going to be like a small wave in society. That's gonna be a sea change, and it's already happening. 100,000 jobs 2 weeks ago went away. Then all of these kids that are coming out of college right now with these degrees in AI vulnerable industries, they're not finding jobs, right? So you've got a disenfranchised generation of people that are going to be radicalized towards socialism and towards like kind of crazy socialist ideas, because they're being systematically disenfranchised from the system, and they're not being given an opportunity to find franchise in any other dimension. They're just being told to fuck off and figure it out. And I know that that's going to continue happening at scale, because there is no world in which people are going to start providing universal basic income until something bad happens, man. And we can't afford to get to that point. We live in a pretty fragile economic model, and if jobs, the whole point of the Federal Reserve is to balance on. Yeah,
I do
I'm sorry,
think.
go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because I do actually agree with all this.
Okay.
My instinct is to push back, but like we're like the
Push.
transition can be very hard, or it can be easy-ish. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Comparatively speaking, if the government does like take the correct steps and like have a plan in place, right? If like
Right.
all of a sudden 50% of the jobs go away. But I'm like, we don't know yet. We actually don't know. Like a lot of the job market suppression right now, it could be because of Trump's tariffs, right? Like that is having a massive impact on this economy. And like, if you read the New York Times, that's what they're writing about. It's like the fringe is kind of like focused on AI, but like every economist in the world is like, Trump's tariffs are fucking over our economy and the job market. So like, I don't know. And also, his immigration crackdown is like fucking over the economy in certain ways. So there's more than one puzzle piece to play. I think it still is kind of speculative, the impact the AI will have. There's still like very smart people who are saying that like the impact on jobs is 10% of jobs by 2030. You know what I mean? Like there's like Zoltan and people are saying like 50% of jobs next year, but like that seems crazier to me than like 3% or 10% by 2030.
Yeah, but what happens
no
when
one knows, right?
But what happens when an entire sector gets innovated upon? Right?
Well, this is
like what happens? What
I
happens
really
when an entire sector of labor in our economy just disappears overnight? Because now
Well-
there's a way to solve that problem without people. That's like
Well, yeah.
100,000 or 1,000,000 jobs could be
Okay, well,
gone.
I do want to stop him, because that I was trying to pull back and pivot to the Genesis mission is actually a completely different thing. Like it's not about that. Like it's like the job.
But
thing
that's
is
the
separate from
knock-on
Genesis
effect. That's the
mission.
knock-on effect about speeding towards like AGI.
This is speeding towards like specifically scientific discoveries. So this is like new materials materials, like in material science. This is new medicines, new like clean energy. This is all like, this is good shit. Like that's what's exciting about this mission. It's good.
The only
Fundamentally,
things
like
that are
good
going to get
projects.
innovated are the things that have the things that have market pressure to innovate. They're not going to they're not going
No,
to
because
cure
the
they're not going to
government.
cure
That's
cancer
why it's good that the
if
government is
there's not a
doing it, because
financial
the
incentive.
government doesn't have that pressure, which is that's why this is good. That this is taken out of the private sector.
I mean, but then we get back into the point that you had about the regulatory structure that goes into this, and that's another thing that I don't see in here is who's running the show, man. Is it going to be Sam Altman and Elon? Do you trust them?
Okay, now we're talking. But Devin Carson, I want to hear you have an optimistic take on
how how.
Are you okay? This could cure cancer. Like, are you not like even remotely excited about that? You know what I mean? Like, I'm just hearing like this doomer shit.
I think that when artificial intelligence, when a large language model begins to speak the language of biology, a lot of problems like that are going to get solved right away. But then what happens to, I mean, what happens to the, look, I mean, it's like, it's not a sexy thing to talk about, but what happens to the industries around cancer? What happens to all these people that have dedicated their entire lives to researching and implementing the newest development on cancer research? Those people, it's like, that's what I'm talking about, man. You solve cancer, but you still have to solve the human problem of all of these people whose entire life, and not, and let's just divorce ourselves from the financial conversation for a second and talk and then talk about meaning.
I do have an answer to this.
Well, and talk about meaning. And so when you take away these people's life work, what do they do? Where do they go to find meaning in their lives? There's no plan for this. There's no plan for the knock-on effects of this.
I guess we're just circling around to the job market today, but which I think is a different topic. But okay, so all of the top IT experts were saying that radiologists are going to be the first to go, right? We all heard this for decades.
Sure. Yeah. True.
Do you know that right now, as AI is actually can do that job better than doctors, that job is more in higher demand than ever. There are more of them and they need more, because it turns out that the job of a radiologist isn't just reading the chart. That's like 5% of their job. The rest of their job is dealing with people, talking to them, making sure that you understand the diagnosis and how to proceed. And do you need to talk to a therapist? There's so much more that goes into it. And it's like the like very small-minded IT people who like haven't actually thought this through, who are like, oh, this job is gone. It's like, no, it's totally not. And so that's why I think that we're just speculating about like the job market. Who knows what's going to happen? Like no one knows at this point. But like curing cancer, our first response shouldn't be like, oh, what about the people who work on cancer and have failed forever? Like, what about like cry me a fucking river? Like, fuck them. We're curing cancer here, man.
You know, I think it's funny because it's definitely a for me, not for thee conversation, because like those people have families, dude. You know, and hold on,
their jobs may be more important than ever. You know what I mean? Like we don't know.
But then here's the and maybe this can bring us into why you hate Tristan Harris. But Tristan Harris, okay. I saw, you know, he was on Diary of a CEO a couple days ago, and for me it was a transformative conversation about AI and ethics and like why and how we need to build the guardrails around artificial intelligence to make sure that our future is secure. And one of the things that he talked about, which I thought was really specific and really sharp, was he's like, okay, well, so let's take radiology for an example, right? So when you become a radiologist, you don't go right into doing the high level work. There's obvious, and all industries work this way. You come in at the lower level, you do the bitch work, then you kind of move up into a seniority position where you understand the structure, and then you are able to manage a team. Well, that's happening now, but what's happening is that those entry level workers are being replaced by artificial intelligence, and those entry-level jobs are disappearing. So then what happens to that ladder in 20 years where somebody needs to actually manage this industry, whether it's radiology, as this older cohort of experts ages out into not doing this job anymore, then who's there to replace them as we grow I mean, you still need somebody that goes through the ladder and understands how it works from the bottom to the top. And right now, what we're doing is we're innovating beyond entry level jobs in a lot of places, and that makes a lot of sense economically. But it actually doesn't make sense to the social fabric, because you need to have a progression through an industry to have a functional grip on what it does and how to manage it. Unless we're just going to play this fantasy game like we're walking through the fucking candy cane forest and all of a sudden money's going to start raining from the sky in 2 years. But that's not going to happen. It's like money's going to yeah, go ahead.
A couple of things. So one thing is, like, a lot of industries, like in the legal industry, when they hire first year attorneys, they're losing money and like they suck at their job, and it is literally just an internship.
That was his actual example, was the legal industry.
Okay, well that's interesting. Okay.
Then how do you get a senior lawyer? Well, you never get another senior lawyer again.
No, but this is what I'm saying. They hire those people anyway because they already know, people already know this, that you're going to need someone to replace like the old people, right? Like industries already know this, even when they're losing money when they hire new staff. True. So I think that actually already exists. Again, like, I don't think that we can decouple what's happening with the job market today from Trump's tariffs and economic anxieties in general. Like, there's a lot happening right now, and it's not just, I mean, have you seen, like, ever the day that Trump instituted his tariffs, the economy started tanking and like the job market started going down. And then also there's we used to have 0 interest rates. And then, like, as soon as that went away, also around it was like the day that ChatGPT coincidentally came online, interest rates started coming back. And so, like, that parallels was happening here too. But like, it might all be ZIRP, zero interest rate policy. That might be why we're seeing like this thing with the job market too. Companies can't take on loans and take on debt like they could when there were 0 interest rates. And that happened just coincidentally the same time that ChatGPT came along. So this is all, like, some people call this an AI story. Most economists that I read, like, don't even factor AI into this yet.
But we're talking about now. I mean, are we going to really bury our head in the sands and say that 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2?
And believe me, like, we have done full episodes about this specific problem. That's why I'm kind of like bringing some other factors in here, right?
Cool.
I think it's more interesting than that. But yeah.
Well, like, and let's get back to the initial point. Is who's running this? Who's going to be running this? Are we really going to do the same sycophantic bullshit that we've been like subsidizing these AI companies, and we're going to continue saying that we get to have these man children become god kings over this organism that we're growing? Like, we actually do need a functional way to legislate it at scale. Yes. We can't just let single people be the people that are the first people to make contact with an alien civilization. None of these people are trustworthy, man. The people closest to Elon Musk, the people closest to Sam Altman, the people closest, they all tell the same story. They are 100% sure that we're heading for a cliff, and they want to be the first person to get there because they're terrified of someone else getting there before them and having to live in their artificial intelligence reality, which is like, that cannot be the way that we settle policy around technology in this country.
Yeah, the other thing I was going to say that I think does tie into that a little bit is that I do think if, all of a sudden we saw like historically low unemployment right now. It's like crazy low compared to like where you might imagine given the headlines.
True.
The second that's no longer the case, we will shift to something like a UBI. We'll just have to. And it won't be called UBI. It will be like the... like in COVID, do you remember how quickly the government just like started sending you $1,000 checks? That was unimaginable pre-COVID. And like, there was no like, we're hiring the futurists to help us figure out this out. It's like, oh shit, people need pure economics, and we can't have people, 50% of Chicago starving.
Yeah, but
this shit will just kick in, and I think that like the futurists won't even have that much to do with it.
I don't know about that, Pete.
The boring economists.
I really don't know about that.
Can't have half Chicago starve to death.
That's true, but a lot of the warning systems and informational systems around this are being actively deconstructed. We just did a podcast a couple months ago about how employment numbers and unemployment numbers are starting to be reconfigured in a way that's personal to the administration. And then I'll also reference the fact that the Federal Reserve exists to manage two key dimensions of the American economy. Only two. Inflation, inflation, and the two levers on inflation are unemployment and interest rates. Those are the two levers that they have to deal with inflation. So if we don't have reliable numbers on employment and unemployment, if we have these market motives to hide these jobs that are being lost, then how do we have the information to be nimble enough to not enter into a societal collapse, or at a minimum, a recession or a depression before we even know what's happened? It's not a pandemic that sweeps the world in a week or 2 weeks or a month. It's going to be slow. And that's the thing that we have as humans the hardest time guarding against, is things that creep. That's why there's, in every industry, there's X creep. And that's the thing you have to watch out for. In my industry, scope creep, right? As a contractor, because we're it's very difficult for us to see incremental changes. And I think that the system that would allow us to be nimble is actively being dismantled.
So this is where I fully agree with you, and I have a very hard time pushing back on this. I have a very hard time.
Oh crap!
Let me say this though. Let me say this. Let me attempt here to be a little bit optimistic. Yeah. Okay. So Donald Trump, at some level, he cares about his constituents at the very least. So like the worst case scenario for Donald Trump being in office, arguable, but it's not that like everyone starves to death. It's that only the blue states starve to death.
Right. The cities really.
When he did his tariff fiasco and all the farmers like lost their pants, he's like, okay, so we're going to pay you. And so he took the tariff money and gave it to the farmers. He did that through his first term, and he's doing it again now, or trying to, right? Which so like he will actually feed the mouth of his people, which all of that is insane. It is totally insane. Our best hope, Devin, I say this right now.
Soybean farmers can go to hell. Sorry, I had to say
true. So AI creeps along and doesn't like massively impact the job market or anything for the next 3 years. And then we get a sane person in the White House and a sane administration, and David Sachs gets like kicked in the corner, and then this kicks in.
Let us pray.
It starts rolling.
Let us pray, Lord. Let us pray.
Because I do not trust this administration. I'm so sorry. I look for bright lines. I do not.
I'm with you though. Look, I will get in your boat, and I will paddle a little bit, because I do think that at a bare minimum, broaching the conversation and bringing it into the public consciousness with an executive order that is at least a couple pages long, which is uncommon for this dumbass administration. They love their one paragraph missives. This is actually the only first step to take, and it's a shame that Trump is in the White House. It also would have been a shame if Biden was in the White House, because it would have been probably equally ridiculous and uninformed. And we do have to start having a national conversation around what this technology is doing for us and why. And we have to put the brakes on these five guys. These five guys at the top of AI that are going to be the first people. And I think we need to be hammering on this, because it sounds hyperbolic, but it's absolutely fucking not. These five men that nobody knows what their motives are, that are going to be the first people to make contact with an alien civilization. That's like letting Trump walk right up to the spaceship and be like, hey, how you doing? It's like, no, fuck that. We would never, ever in a million years think that was the right thing to do. So why in the world are we so sycophantic about these 4 or 5 dudes at the top of these industries controlling the fate? And we don't know, it's speculative, right? But if what's on the table is the fate of humanity, and that also is not hyperbolic, if you listen to the people who talk about it, then what are we doing not having a democratic process around this issue specifically? So I will get in the boat that this is a first step, and that if it were just burying our heads in the sand, we would be actually infinitely fucked. And I think this gives us some percentage possibility of kind of pulling through the gap on it. So I like that they're thinking about it. I don't think that they're going to meaningfully have any kind of wise restriction on this technology. I think it's going to be a capitalist, sycophantic bullshit where they're just shoveling money towards these 3 man children that are trying to control the fate of at least the United States, if not the world.
At some level, I do think this is always how it was going to go. I'm very partisan against Donald Trump.
Okay, yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, I'm super partisan against him, but I think that this always was kind of inevitable. And if Kamala were in office right now, we would have very parallel gripes to
Oh yeah, for
hers,
sure.
and I don't trust her either.
No, for sure.
Either she would have some like weird, like, I don't know. I don't even know. I don't like. She's ideological too, and like
Yeah.
her camp is ideological too in ways that
Yeah.
I think are just like not pro-human either necessarily.
No, sure.
So I
And
keep
it's like they're pro-human, but in a really narrow band.
Yes,
It's like
yeah.
that is actually the benefit of capitalism and the benefit of the American bureaucratic system is that it is kind of by its very nature diversified. And that the Republicans do hold this kind of fascination with like, just of prostrating themselves at the step of capitalism. And then obviously liberals do the same thing, but, scream against it. I'm curious, what is it? What's your beef with Tristan?
So one, I just think he's obnoxious. I think that his
Cool.
demeanor is annoying. This
Oh,
isn't very
really?
substantive. I'm sorry, but like he just
I
kind of
love
bugs
it.
me.
No, sure.
And like I don't think that, and I think that he just like found this lane. And then
Mm.
like he's become completely incurious about it. And I could write his
Oh,
speeches
interesting.
before he gives them, and it's just fucking boring. And he's boring. And I don't know. Everything about it is just kind of like, oh God, turn this guy off.
You're
I know what
such a
he's gonna
writer.
say. It's never interesting. It's never that thoughtful. Maybe, dude, hold on. Maybe this is actually the key point that bugs me. Everybody is always like, whoa, that's so thoughtful. Oh, this enlightened young man. And it's like he's saying the most boring, brain dead, stupid ass shit that is like obvious too. Like he says obvious things and people over glorify it, and that's what bugs me about him. I think that
I think what
I'm
would
sure
be
he's fine. I'm sure he's super nice. I'm sure
we need to do
he
like
actually looks like somebody who'd be a friend of mine, but like whatever.
we need to do like a long form commentary, like live stream on this last Diary of a CEO that he did, because I think there's things in there that are just unassailable.
That show bugs me too, I gotta say, because that guy's too calm and too like he clearly just like overfunded his, because it comes from money, overfunded like that podcast. It's a boring
You're
podcast,
so
but
I love
he put
your
so much
takes.
money into it that
I love your
it just
takes.
took off.
I love
If
it.
we put that much money into this podcast, dude, we'd be like way bigger than that shit.
Oh man, dude. Yeah, absolutely. People would be so angry at us though. People, the only interactions we get are when people are mad at us.
This is my other hot take about this, Devin. I'm sick of business podcasts. I want more like artsy weirdo podcasts that have
me
takes.
too. Yeah,
like
me too.
I've come from business. It's like, fuck you, dude. That means you're boring. That's all that means.
I do like that. Yeah, I do like that. I mean, I think there's just a lot of stuff in that podcast that if you could disavail yourself of your hatred for
maybe I'll read
Tristan,
the transcript.
the 3-hour tome.
yeah. All in monotone.
Yeah, I guess, to pin on my opinion here with the White House order is cool. We need people to be more activated around this issue. We need more people with more thoughts. And I think that was one of the things that Tristan ended up kind of settling on, because I can't remember the guy's name is for Diary of a CEO, but he kept being like, well, what do we do? And he kind of in a political way almost was like pivoting away from that question, because I think it's a very difficult question to answer. And at the end of it, when he was really pinned down on the subject, he was like, if you know about what's happening, you have a responsibility to try to get it out to the most people possible, just so that the conversation can have more life, and we can, and it can be a central issue in voting, a central issue in social life, a central issue in like the cultural frame that we hold as Americans. And I do think that, and it actually made me really excited to do the pod today, because it's like, it is in not a subtle way activistic. You and I know, as people who have been podcasting about AI and technology for 5-6 years now, most people don't know this stuff, man. Like we do actually need to get most people to understand what the potential is and what's happening.
This was one of my hot takes, Devin. I wanted to get to today.
Oh God.
Okay, so
you're so spicy today, Peter.
I know, I'm too spicy. It's also manufactured because I feel very low energy. So I'm like, it's all fake. It's fine. It's like AI.
Dredge it up, baby.
Yeah, I'm dredging it up. But so I
we're scraping the peat barrel today, guys.
Yeah, man. But so I just watched the movie A House of Dynamite.
Yeah, saw that a couple weeks ago.
You saw it too?
Mm-hmm.
And okay, just to jump to my hot take. For one, just to key it up a little bit, I thought that this movie was great.
I loved
And
it.
talk about like bringing public awareness to an issue.
Yeah, big time.
This is something we just like fundamentally don't think about enough.
Yeah,
And it's just so interesting because, you know, we do live in this house of dynamite, which is interestingly a Sam Harris quote. I guess it like, you know, in the when they're reading the guy's like, the president is like, I was listening to this podcast and he quotes this and it's like a Sam Harris quote, which is like
Sam Harris,
hilarious.
friend of the pod.
It's very, very fun. Just like knowing that, like, oh shit, that reference. But oh god, see, this is where my low energy is coming in. But there are so many different ways that the world could actually end in this way. Like this is talking about like nuclear weapons. But there's also like Yellowstone could blow, like an asteroid could hit. We could have another like mega COVID situation. There are all these different ways the world could end. AI also, of course, you know.
Yeah.
And it will come down at some level to who is sitting in the White House is going to make a big impact on what plays out from there, right?
100%.
One way or another. That's just how our government, our society is structured, that one person like just plays an oversized role. And watching that movie, A House of Dynamite, where Idris Elba is the president and he's just like so right for this role. Like he was amazing, like his acting, but also like he was empathetic, he was thoughtful, he actually felt what was happening. And yeah, he did say the line of like, the American people won't go for that, like thinking about like his, you know, who's going to vote for him next time. That was in there a little bit, but it was like you'd see his empathy and his struggle with what to do. And Donald Trump and his administration, I don't trust them to even have that level of empathy.
No,
I just don't think that they would be able to well that up, even if it were like manufactured. I don't think they could. And this makes me just like down on the American system. And like, I want to give that like Aristotle take that I don't think that the presidency should be a popularity vote. I feel like we should get like somebody who has the highest IQ and the highest EQ in that role. And you have to like pass some fucking test and like have your brain scanned in certain ways to make sure you're right for that role, rather than just kind of like, oh, oh, cool, you're a reality TV star. Oh, cool. That's funny. Everyone knows your name. So you have like a 90% chance of winning this seat before, you know, we even like press go. That kind of sucks. And I don't know. I think that we're set up to have like a catastrophe because
I couldn't
of our
agree
popularity
more.
contest system.
I couldn't agree more. You know, honestly, I could get on that, or I could get on a different plan that I kind of I've thought about for a long time, where it's like voting should be like a week long, and there should be infinite abilities to vote. I mean, you should just have infinite, you know, and if you need to make sure that people are registered or citizens or something, I don't really care if there's some draconian measure.
It should be a big deal. It should be like
such a fucking big deal. And if there needs to be security measures to make sure there's no fraud, I think everybody should get on board with it, kind of almost no matter what it is, so that your vote is verified. And then I think you should suffer a pretty intense financial penalty for not voting. I think that would change everything. It's like you have mandatory paid time off work. You can go anytime through this entire week. Your employer is absolutely prohibited from penalizing you in any way. You get paid your full daily rate just to go in for one day. It would cost the American system probably billions of dollars for this 1 week. And you know what it would produce? An actual democracy.
And let's say it's like a celebration too, right? There could be parades in the streets. There could be like free concerts. It could be 100%. Like epic. It could be like this epic thing where you actually, for once in your life, feel proud.
It's such a brutal,
like, participate in the system.
Dour, like voting day is such, and it's made that way. I mean, and it's like I'm
you
not going to get
a sticker, and it's like,
dude, and it's like you know why it's the way it is. It's because we still have a lot of leftover voting laws from Jim Crow and from like the way that this country was built to disenfranchise people, and not just black people. I mean, like literally almost like from the beginning of this country, it's been structured in a way that it disenfranchises whatever the lowest ranking group is. And that is part of the reason why it is only on one day and why you do not get paid time off for it, why it is harder to find places to vote in black and brown communities, why, you know, it's like there's all of these leftovers from you know, the last 150 years that make it a bureaucratic nightmare and almost impossible to go vote. And so what happens? 40% of people don't vote. So we actually don't have any idea what this country would look like if everybody actually weighed in on their opinion. Maybe it wouldn't be so much of a popularity contest. Maybe it would be something different if everybody got to weigh in, because right now it's only the sycophantic people who care about the whatever the persona is of the person that they're voting for.
Yeah, Devin. So this is one of my hot takes too, and I've had this for a while. This is not original in this conversation, but like, I think that we should rethink the Constitution. I think that it's time.
We have a process for that.
We sit down as a country, and yeah, we do, and the process also kind of sucks. I think that we need to like get the smartest brains in a room and like do Thomas Jefferson and John Adams like part 2 or whatever, and like have them like rethink a couple and not go crazy with the shit, not go crazy with it, but like does the electoral college still make sense?
Yeah.
Should it be possible to like for politics to be involved in drawing voting maps at all, or do we just like make that a nonpartisan thing?
No.
Do we bring in Puerto Rico as a state?
Right.
You know what I mean? There are a couple questions that are just like high level questions
that just need to get answered.
The process itself is not allowing these very simple things to be tweaked. And we just like have a day where you just get a couple of smart people in a room and say like, what's wrong with this broken system? Okay, DC should be a state. Okay. And like pick politics completely out of it. Maybe even make it so that it's neutral. So that it doesn't like, Republicans don't like DC to be a state. Okay, fucking fine. Like give them some or whatever, you know what I mean? But like, there's a couple of things that we just like are obviously just like dumb. Let's fix it. Right.
You know what's so interesting from an anthropological level on this is that like I love that your like your first instinct is to be like, we need people with high IQ and EQ, right?
Yes.
And it's like, you know, amazing kind of presupposition for the idea, but then as soon as you introduce the dynamic of power, you have this really disturbing force that cannot be accounted for, because I assume that at your age you've seen enough as I have, that extraordinarily emotionally intelligent people, when given power, can completely reconfigure the way that they think about things. That has nothing to do with their moral or ethical or intellectual framework, because power really does disrupt the human kind of cognition, you know, in a functional way. And we see that happen every single day all over the world. So if you could figure out a way to account for the high that you get, that those guys would get, or hopefully it'd be guys and girls. Oh, I mean, shit, hopefully it'd be all kinds of people in there.
Robots.
Well, I was going to say guys, girls, and theys, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know you're bullish.
That's some lefty ideology.
You're bullish on theys. No, but for real, you know, like you get a spread of people in there, but it's just like, how could you inoculate them to the high that power produces in the human body? It'd be tough. But you get in
but like
we're headed for a technocracy, man. We're headed for a technocracy where the people that you're talking about are actually just algorithms. They're just algorithms.
100%.
Yeah, they're not real people. You know. Well. Well, now that we've solved
the robots are going to take over.
Now that we've solved American democracy, classic boy talk over here, just solving problems.
I know, right? Yeah, there we go.
Well, I know you got some other stuff teed up for us today, Pete. What you got?
Well, okay, I have.
You want to put a pin on it?
I have time for one more very quick one.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll do it. I only got a couple of minutes, but we can do it kind of quickly because this has been a take of mine for a while. So we like right now, the whole universe is nervous about new technologies coming online because the last batch of technologies that we've had that we're most intimately familiar with, like social media and our phones, they have like harmed us, right?
Yeah.
In obvious ways, like fucking kids' math scores and shit, like very basic things, and
suicide
and kids
teen
just going
suicide.
Out.
Just look at that.
Right there you go.
Boom.
There's no reason there's no like law of nature that new technologies, even like device-driven technologies, have to be socially harmful. True. We just like learn to accept that. And now we're all nervous about new technologies coming online. And there's so many tech doomers just because of that one phenomenon that like basically Mark Zuckerberg and his vision that we've been like living off of the last decade or so, we've just like accepted that it's kind of like socially harmful.
Yeah.
That just does not have to be the case. And I am keeping a very close watch on Sam Altman's. Not that I'm gonna like throw all my cards in with him and like what he wants to do, but I am actually kind of optimistic about OpenAI developing their own device that's still apparently like 2 years out. But let me read from you, read from this article in TechCrunch, where Sam Altman was interviewed recently about his new device.
I just want to say before you start,
yeah,
I fucking hate that guy. Go ahead.
He's your Tristan Harris.
he's my Tristan Harris. I absolutely fucking hate that guy.
Tell me what you think about this statement of quotes or whatever.
Yeah, hit me.
Run of quotes here. Okay. When I use current devices or most applications, I feel like I am walking through Times Square in New York and constantly just dealing with all of the little indignities along the way. Flashing lights in my face, people bumping into me, like noises going off, and this unsettling thing, he said. Then he says, I don't think it's making any of our lives peaceful and calm and just letting us focus on our stuff. And that's what he wants to do. He says the vibe of the AI device that he is developing should be more like sitting in the most beautiful cabin by a lake and in the mountains and sort of just enjoying the peace and calm. So the thing isn't like addictive, and it's not there to just like feed you ads so that people can sell you shit. It is there to just like help you navigate the world. And then like, it's like an old school map is the way I'm kind of like picturing this. So you pull out when you need it. It's just there for you when you need it. But like, it doesn't actually play Times Square in your pocket. Right. That vision is correct. Like whether or not you feel for him and whether or not you feel that OpenAI has a company to do it, I think that is the future right there. That summarizes it for me. What are your thoughts on that?
I just hate that it's like, I hate that a lot of these ideas and statements are lies by omission, because it's so not addressing the primary facet of what is happening and why we have these dopamine chasing social apps, in his words, is that we have market pressures. There is a financial incentive to keep people addicted to things, and by just saying we want to make something that's not really that addictive and is actually like pretty good for you, and it's like, well, how do you square that with capitalism? How do you square that with modern market capitalism? Because I don't hear anybody approaching it from a functional point of view. It's a lot of pie in the sky bullshit that a rich guy, it's like, what a rich guy's fucking vision of what an AI can do for, he's like, I want it to be like sitting on a fucking lake, you know, like breathing fresh air. I'm like, yeah, you know, working class people probably don't give a straight fuck about that, man. They probably have a lot more pressing things to think about. And it would be it's so classic for like a neurotic, rich tech billionaire to be like, all I really need is just a little bit of peace and quiet. You know, it's like, no, dude. You need to develop technology. You need to develop narrow band AI-driven technologies that actually improve people's lives. These broad, you know,
that's what he's talking about. Sky
bullshit.
I think that your biases are showing, because that's what he's talking about. That is what he's saying.
No, he's not. He's just.
You're just not accepting the thing that he's saying that he's giving you what you want here, Devin. Just accept it. Take it.
No. He's elucidating. He's elucidating this fucking fantasy vision of something, and not telling you any of the ways that it's going to happen.
Dude, I hate to tell you, but this working class people are not working to solve this problem. And if they were, they would be worse than him. We're human beings, dude. Like, but also like Sam Altman's vision, why this kind of makes sense, is money isn't going to be flowing in the way that it currently is in the future. Money is going to be from like Sam Altman is putting a ton of money and resources into developing new energy sources.
Sure.
That funds this, right? Like maybe that's it. Like that funds all of this device shit, and you buy the device that also is like but like so you know how right now when you buy a TV it's extraordinarily cheap because like you're not paying for the TV, you're paying for the TV to feed you ads. Like that is a future that we can just like cut that off and be done with that. You know what I mean? And I'm stoked about that.
So we're trusting Sam Altman to he's going to just fund this. Completely,
we're not trusting. He's gonna
but I mean, like, but he's going to create this totally altruistic thing that helps you and has No financial incentives built into it. When has that ever happened? Ever.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, that like that could be the future, where this is funded through something like energy.
It could have always been the future. We spend more money on dumb bullshit that could fix the problems in our country. I mean, we spend trillions and trillions of dollars on problems in other places in the world. Like, money is misappropriated, man. Like, wealth is sequestered at the top. When is the last, this is another Tristan Harris point. When is the last time that the wealthy or the upper class or any ruling class has willingly redistributed wealth? It has never happened in the history of human civilization. It has never happened. So what happens when all this power is clustered at the top? You think that Sam Altman is all of a sudden going to become this altruistic force for good?
Devin, the answer was half this podcast where the government actually plays a role in this, but you didn't like that either.
But it's Trump's government. It's a morally...
What the fuck do you like?
But it's a morally bankrupt
Take
government.
something. Jesus Christ.
I just want to have a society that's driven by moralism, man, and not Christian moralism.
Well, that will never happen. I hate to tell you. I hate to break it to you.
Well, but the danger is that the propaganda that's coming out from these AI companies is that's what they're feeding you. They're feeding you the same vision of the future that rich people have always fed to the working class, that there's going to be some altruistic pie in the sky we're all going to get to, and everybody's going to be free. And it's bullshit.
Your negativity is killing me. Killing me.
No, I do have no look. I will say this, man. Like I think that
I think that when you say the working class in this context, you completely lose me. I think I am lost when you say that, because like that has nothing to do with this conversation.
You hate
that's like your hobby horse that you just
hate my proletariat values, dude. You're a landowner now, and so function.
Dude, we're all the richest people on the planet. I hate to break it to you, but like if you live in America, you're the top 1%. So
no, look, I do think, I think that I am actually pitting myself into a doomer position for the sake of hopefully activating people to think about things in a way that is unfortunately a little bit fear driven, because I don't usually like to operate from that kind of point of view, but I do think that we're heading for a precipice that is really, really, really dangerous writ large to not just the financial systems, but people's systems of meaning. Right. And that's something that my friends who have been, I have friends that work at like Google Labs and neurobiologists and people that have been hanging out for years and years and years. And 15 years ago, they were telling me that it's none of the things that you think are going to happen from AI are going to be the destructive force. The destructive force is that it's going to strip meaning systematically from hundreds of thousands of people overnight, over and over and over again. Right. And what happens to the human animal when they don't have a reason to live, or they have to reconfigure the entire structure of their lives around new ideas? Violence. That's what happens. Violence happens. And so at the end of the day, I do think that
the automated abundance economy, automated luxury communism, there are answers to this shit. Like
I'm coming to that. No, I'm coming to that. I do think it's worth focusing on that, because if anybody's been listening to this podcast, it's like both of us are futurist optimists, right? And I do maintain that position, but I am worried about what happens between here and there. There's no doubt in my mind that unless we completely annihilate ourselves, which is possible, but probably just not that likely, that we will end up in a fully automated luxury abundance economy. I'd love to get into the aliens conversation with you next time, because I think probably all the alien civilizations have got this figured out that are visiting here regularly.
I think Peter actually putting ourselves in the mind. No. I love this, actually. Putting ourselves in the mind of the aliens, and then starting from first principles, getting there. That's actually what we're doing, because like all these tech people, Sam Altman included, they've all read sci-fi, and so they're not making this shit up. They're like, oh, this was written about in this book or this movie that I liked, and that's why it's cool to be an artist, because like artists actually make the vision, and then like the tech people just gonna maneuver their way there. I think
we are going to end up in the fully automated abundance economy. I think that is absolutely undeniably true. But I do have like a humanist, and maybe neoliberalism really kind of got to me, right? But it's like the idea that every person is a sacred little snowflake and deserves to be cared for, because we've been thinking at scale for most of our civilization because we needed to survive. To make sure most people survived, it meant that some people had to suffer. We're not there anymore. We do have the ability to be granular about these things now. And we can't be ultra granular. Like, that is the lesson of neoliberalism, is that not every single person we can't afford to give every single person exactly the same thing. That's just not the way that society moves forward. But I do think that we are going to end up in this like automated luxury abundance economy. But what happens between now and there, I mean, it can mean the destruction of so many human lives, and not just physical, like they die.
In America, that won't happen. I think that we will. I just don't think that will happen. I think there would be. I mean, I don't know. Like, who knows what will happen? But like, I'm stoked about the future, because like,
we're pretty nimble.
It's inevitable. It's inevitable.
Yeah.
And we are the richest country on the planet. You know what I mean? Like, we're fine. We have like energy abundance. We already have like food abundance. It's just a matter of like distribution and shit. You know?
I love. You are all at once like one of the more granular people I know about stuff like this. And then I do love that you have this kind of preternatural ability to peel out to like 100,000 feet and be like, and just be like, oh, come on, man, we'll sort it out. Because you're right. Because during the pandemic, right, like it was shocking. It was shocking.
I would have never guessed that.
I would have never guessed. Yeah, and you know what we all would have guessed is that in 2022 and 2023, we would be in breadlines. Right? Because the entire supply chain collapsed, the entire world economy collapsed. And what happened? You know, love them or hate them, whether you've seen Zeitgeist or not, the Federal Reserve saved our asses, man, because they actually took care of the main dimension of what their job is, which is to make sure the economy doesn't go into a depression. We have systems for this. You might not like them. They might be evil people at the tops of these systems, but they still have a job to do and a vested interest in making sure shit doesn't collapse. And I think most people do feel that way. I think there's people like Trump at the top that are so sycophantic and so unbelievably solipsistic that their motives can actually end up creating vast destruction. But we have a great system. He's only here for another 3 years, and he's already a lame duck, right? Like he's already. Man.
Fingers crossed. But yeah, I gotta stop you there, because I do gotta run.
Nice.
I gotta bounce.
Whoa, lively pod this week.
Yeah, good talks today, man. And yeah, we'll chat soon.
Later. Wow.